Disasters come and go in such a quick amount of time, but the devastation that they leave behind can take a lifetime to get over. This story and presentation is about how a pediatrician, Mutya San Augustin, and a few of her friends went to the epicenter of the effects of Typhoon Yolanda to bring books to foster resiliency in children through the American Academy of Pediatrics Reach Out and Read program. This brief video shows Yolanda getting ready to take a direct hit on the Visayas region. No doubt it was taken aim. See that blue ribbon? That was the track that Yolanda took. OCA Philippines, in collaboration with humanitarian partners, issued this presentation on the impact of Yolanda, covering November 18th to 19th in 2013. Yolanda impacted 13 million people, 4 million were displaced, and 1 million had homes that were destroyed or damaged terribly. The map shows Rojas City, Cebu City, and Tacloban as areas that were greatly impacted, more severely than others, and the deployment of medical teams, depending on the size of the circle, represents the amount of people that were sent to support disaster care, evolving into disaster primary care. Tacloban was at the epicenter of the impact of Yolanda. It experienced over 2,000 fatalities, and 6 months later, survivors continued to live under the shadow of the devastation. Early assessment in Tacloban is that 90% of the houses were destroyed. Water was limited in quality and quantity. The UN declared the most pressing needs to be for safe drinking water, shelter, care of traumatic injuries, food due to lack of food. There was disruption of medical services, lack of access to sanitation and personal hygiene opportunities. Household items and supplies were relatively non-existent. The standing water became toxic. Tent cities were established to try and provide some roof over people's heads. Child Fund set the stage for children. Through coordination of efforts, they created child-friendly spaces. Flexible, engaged partnerships with community and national response helped to maximize the efforts of all the different people that were contributing to supporting the cleanup process. Mutually supportive disaster systems of care serving children were established by non-governmental and local governmental units. Coordinated was the common operating picture of kid-focused communication. Dr. Mutya San Augustin was one of the founders of the Pediatric Philippine Ambulatory Association and Reach Out and Read. She brought the thinking behind both organizations together through a partnership of PAPA and Reach Out and Read to make a difference in the lives of Tacloban's children. Along with this team of 6 pediatricians, a creative writer, and a painter, they left for Tacloban and northern Cebu on January 20th with boxes of books, paper, crayons, pencils, and pens. Reach Out and Read Philippines was the first international Reach Out and Read. The goals of the program are to provide training, support, and guidance to develop Reach Out and Read programs in the most at-risk communities, those underserved communities where people are experiencing the impact of the social determinants of health, education, housing, access to food, access to money. And they taught parents importance of reading aloud and putting books into the homes and hands of disadvantaged Filipino children so that they grow up with books and a love for reading. They established Reach Out and Read programs in several hospitals and pediatric outpatient clinics. In collaboration with local government units and private foundations of several provinces like Aurora, Quezon, Tarlac, and Bataan, Reach Out and Read programs implemented in community health centers are always integrated with local public health services. Reach Out and Read collaborated with local publishers for the publication of age and culturally appropriate bilingual books. Reach Out and Read trained PAPA members, key staffs of local government and public health workers on the importance of books as a tool in providing support post-disaster. The mission of PAPA is to provide holistic, innovative, and socially responsive healthcare for children in the home, school, and community. PAPA, again, is the Philippine Ambulatory Pediatric Association. In the past 20 years, the association has implemented advocacy programs for community-based tuberculosis control for kids, Bahagari's health supervision program for infants, children, and teens, tobacco control for children and teens, and they sponsored the Reach Out and Read program in the Philippines. For me, I think it's a great example of how 2 organizations, PAPA and Reach Out and Read, can come together and magnify the impact that either organization could have standing alone. Together, they maximize their impacts. When one thinks about a response, a review of the literature often can guide how one might approach a given project. According to the American Psychological Association, post-traumatic stress disorder is the most common response to disastrous events in children, occurring up to 40% of those who are exposed to trauma. 40% of the time. Reach Out and Read is a pediatric early literacy intervention. It provides comfort and support through books and guided reading. Dr. Mutya San Augustin and her team wanted to implement Reach Out and Read as a psychosocial intervention 2 months post-disaster. I thought you'd be interested in the process that they took. They created a framework to manage targeted intervention. They had a time frame. They worked out the logistics. They identified volunteers. They determined their goal and outcome, identified their data collection points. They wanted to know at the front end what the impact of their project was. So they wanted to collect certain data to track over time. And they wanted to determine and contact all of their stakeholders. They needed to secure resources. So they looked for donation of books and financial backing for the purchase of books. They determined cultural and developmentally appropriate books that they would bring to the different sites. A crucial activity that Dr. Mutya San Augustin knows so well is that she needed to contact local government units and district health officers to receive their support and approval for coming into their communities. They provided approval for the Reach Out and Read intervention. They provided transportation to Dr. San Augustin's team, assisted with finding safe accommodations. The LGUs and district health officers helped identifying sites so that the team went into Tacloban for 4 days and Cebu for 3 days. Dr. San Augustin identified and helped set up sites for the Reach Out and Read intervention. And her team identified children with special vulnerabilities due to loss of home, parents, or siblings post-disaster to customize their interventions and communication to these children. Such a hopeful sign. About a month and a half after the disaster, the schools knew they needed to set up alternate sites and welcome kids back to school as a symbol of stability and return to normal. Reach Out and Read and PAPA trained healthcare providers, teachers, community health workers, and volunteers of all ages to read to children and distribute books. We mentioned logistics before. No small feat for books to arrive from Manila to Tacloban, only 2 months after the disaster. Dr. San Augustin is in the blue shirt there holding her chin, so excited that the books have arrived. Partnership with Municipal Health Office in operation. Dr. San Augustin, as a pediatrician, wanted to approach reading to children as psychological first aid. They taught the teachers to listen, to protect and connect children, parents, and guardians to the resource of Reach Out and Read. They wanted to support with the available infrastructure that was remaining in Tacloban and Cebu. Their intention was that this project would promote an atmosphere of normalcy while acknowledging an environment of chaos, fear, and loss. Adults, including families, caregivers, and volunteers, had an opportunity through books to interact with children. Healing for everybody. Reach Out and Read is a tool to interact with children who would otherwise have difficulty expressing their fears and emotions. To implement this project, child-friendly sites were designated for the team to visit. Dr. Mutya's team separated into different groups to speak to teachers, parents, and community members. Books of different developmentally appropriate age groups were distributed. Older children were invited to read some of the books, and many volunteered to read to the rest of the class and the younger children. Tents were used as temporary schools. Daycare centers, churches, and areas in schools not destroyed were used as sites for Reach Out and Read. Fourth graders in a school in Berkeley, California, sent letters to fourth graders from 2 classes in Tacloban. Those children read and responded to the letters. Children 6 to 9 years of age were asked to draw their experiences during the disaster, another healing strategy. College students interviewed children regarding their experience during the disaster. Children have wonderful imaginations, and books can encourage their creative play. Just like the improbable events that caused the book in this story to disappear. Books are a wonderful way to introduce your child to experiences and stories outside of what is familiar to them. Reading expands their world. As nurses, we can all let families know the importance of reading in their family's life. 2 months after the disaster, paying attention. Well, maybe except for one there. I think he liked the camera. The school setting, a place of safety and familiarity and normalcy. Notice the detail this girl has in her picture that she's drawn as a part of the art therapy program. You see a family of 5 there, maybe 6, and a lot of rain. A couple of pictures of different age groups of children. In that 6 to 12-month-old category, small books are perfect for babies' hands. It is normal developmental behavior for babies to put items in their mouths. The thick cardboard pages of a board book are designed to withstand all of this activity. And they are a perfect way to entertain a baby in a carriage or a crib. Board books with pictures of babies fascinate infants. Whether in Tagalog, Cebuano, English, name the parts of a baby's face as you speak to your child. For example, see the baby's nose? You'll have a nose too. You can touch the photo and then your baby's nose as you say this to reinforce the word nose. Clearly, this 12-month-old is loving his book. And an exuberant dad with his 20-month-old as he shows her this book he received as a part of the Reach Out and Read program. Observe the eager, happy faces of children who received books and clasped them to their chest, the grateful smiles of parents, the deep appreciation of teachers that books had brought some pleasure and meaning to their lives during this transition. 1,500 books were distributed to children in Tacloban, Leyte, and northern Luzon. Findings from interviews were collated by college students. Don't take her book away. Ooh. Engaged boys. Not an easy task. That's Dr. San Augustin in the middle of all of those smiles. I love seeing Dr. San Augustin in this picture, capturing the attention of all the children in the room. Beautiful focus with an opportunity to heal 2 months after Yolanda. A big girl reading to Dr. San Augustin, thinking of nothing but focusing on her book and enjoying the story that she's reading. It takes a team. When someone has a vision, it's really important to try and identify other people who can help maximize the outreach to your vision. By including an art therapist on the team, Dr. San Augustin knew that she would offer children another way to express and heal from Yolanda. Joy and pride there. Paying attention. Without data, it is very difficult to show the impact that anything we do might have. We need data-informed decision-making to guide our efforts and to improve our efforts in the future. Dr. San Augustin and her team, which included college students, interviewed 256 children in the infant to teenage age group. And you can see the spread of the ages in the diagram here in this graph. 250, and a little bit of every age group, ranging from 6 to 28 in any age category, totaling 256. Let's pause for a minute to look at their experiences that were identified through the questionnaire survey that was administered either to the kids or to their parents. All 256 lost their home. There was loss of immediate family members, a mother, a father, twin brothers, a brother. 30 lost relatives, 17 lost friends, 13 lost their pets. Loss, loss, loss. From a quality perspective, these are some of the feelings that the kids shared. They were scared for days. Falling trees next to my house and fast rising waters were awful. Really scary because of strong winds and heavy rains. Scary and sad. A child is always crying. My child is scared during new episodes of rain. I was cold. I am afraid. So it took a big team to handle all that loss, both quantified and qualified with the data collected by the team. This picture reflects a perfect partnership of teacher and student. We are all teachers. We are here to support students when they need us in any capacity. But during times of disaster, they need us more to partner with them and help give them excitement for the future. A perfect partnership. Disasters are over quickly, but the long-term impact lingers for years. The need for healing can go on for a lifetime. Some next steps. Books play an important role in the lives of children, and they are a useful public health tool to help children and families as they rebuild from a disaster. Books are a psychosocial intervention. The literature lacks documentation on metrics behind using books, and reading is a component of providing psychological first aid in children who have experienced disasters. Regardless of the devastation, communities brought forward their gratitude to the Papa Reach Out and Read team, expressing thank you so much to all those who extended their continuous help and support to barangay Kogan constituents. You will always be a part of our new lives. I'm Dr. Diane Tracy Marandola. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner who has committed my career to working with families and communities where children live to improve the outcome of that child's growth and development. Post Yolanda, I worked with the International Alliance for Children in New Milford, Connecticut, with their disaster relief fund. The resources that we were able to uncover, the money funding, went to the Child Protection Unit of the Philippines under the direction of pediatrician Dr. Bernadette Madrid, who is a dear friend of Dr. Mutya San Augustin. I'd also like to acknowledge the work of Dr. Carmen Bonoan as a champion of the collaboration of Reach Out and Read and PAPA to come together to bring books as a psychological first aid tool to the communities that they were able to be a part of. I'd like to thank you all for your attention. As you look around in your communities, know that the weakest areas that you identify are the ones that unfold in horrific ways during a disaster. So I ask the question, what can we do within our own communities to shore up its weaknesses? And with children, what can we do to work in collaboration with all of the different organizations and schools that work with kids to improve their lives in the day-to-day so that during a disaster, they can have resiliency and come back smiling 2 months later. Thank you, everybody.